Look, there are lots of great projects that have happened around our region to the benefit of many people that have been made possible through a grant from the Southwest Community Foundation. The Foundation have an annual grant application program and it's about to open once again. David McIntyre is the chair of the Southwest Community Foundation and joining us this morning. David, welcome to you.
Good morning, Jeremy. Thanks for having me on.
It's our pleasure. And also joining us this morning, Wendy Rotumahn, who is the Well Women and their Children's Health Coordinator at DWECHS Elderly and Community Health Service, which I think is based in Portland. Wendy, welcome to you as well.
Good morning, Jeremy. Thank you.
Thanks for joining us. Now, David, why don't we start with you? Just remind us, I guess, what the Southwest Community Foundation is about and this grant program.
The Southwest Community Foundation was set up around about 13 years ago by a lady by the name of Josie Black, and her vision was around just creating a store of wealth by local people, just putting a little bit of hard-earned aside and building it over many, many years to continue to support very small community projects. And the aim of it is that our grant will just support very small projects in local communities, things like cultural events or activities or halls, that kind of thing. These very small projects that might otherwise not get ahead in sort of larger granting programs. So it's our job. We've taken that forward, and over the last 13 years we've donated about $1 million or a little bit over $1 million to community projects all across our region.
Yeah, right, which is fantastic. Is there a feeling that the things that you're funding then, is it filling a bit of a hole perhaps, or addressing programs or ideas which are otherwise perhaps not being funded because they might not be eligible for any of the other sort of funding options that are around?
Yeah, that's right. Oftentimes the grants that are available are at a certain size that make it almost impossible for very small organisations to participate in. So we really want to focus on, as much as possible, sort of very small communities or very important parts of small communities that really make an impact. These organisations might only be run by, one or two, maybe three really passionate volunteers that perhaps don't have the time or resources to put in enormous grant applications for things, but they just need a little bit of money to make a big difference in their very local community. So that's our aim.
Yeah, right. And as you say, yes, some of the differences that these grants make can be pretty big. Wendy, let's come to you. Just tell us a little bit about the program that you were able to fund through a grant from the Southwest Community Foundation.
So we decided to set up some healthy cooking classes for the Aboriginal women in our community. We have a bush tucker garden out the back of our building in Julia Street. So we wanted to use some of the produce from there. The program will sustain itself once the women have learned how to do all this healthy cooking.
Yeah, right, which is a great idea. And I guess one of the aims of that as well, as you say, was to sort of help people make those connections as well. How effective has the program been in that regard?
Well, it's been quite difficult because of COVID, of course.
Right, yeah.
We haven't been able to hold our groups and that sort of thing, but we have started up. And, it gets people out of the house. It also contributes to their mental health because they've got other people to talk to, and, it's really good.
Yeah, right. And that's a great example, David, I guess, of some of the aims you're talking about. Maybe just explain for us a bit more about, I guess, some of those aims about those community connections and so on that you do try to foster through these grants.
That's right. Well, we really have a favourable look at when we get all of our grant applications in. We try to look at things that are going to make a long-term lasting impact, and this is often in a form of, it comes in many different forms, but we've supported things such as Indigenous murals beside the community centre, where they wanted to teach the very young kids, the kinder kids, about Aboriginal community and life and land, and that mural is still there some 7 years after it was put in place. Or it might be that you go to a very small community somewhere like, say, Drumborg, a long way from most regional centres, and their town hall, well, even though there isn't sort of much of a town there. It's more just a locality. The town hall is used from everything from weddings to meetings, residents' meetings and that kind of thing. So a little bit of money invested in, say, sprucing up the town hall for a region like that has long-lasting impacts that I felt, just a little bit of money goes a very, very long way. And that's sort of the way we try to look at all of our things, and especially if they have a social connection impact or some kind of cultural impact across a long term. That's really what we're looking to focus on.
So you can certainly look around and see the sort of, as you say, those more long-term results and benefits of some of the things that have been funded through this project. Wendy, to that end, just tell us a bit more about what your hopes are for this program then, and how keeping it running as a more permanent thing, how that's going to work.
Well, because we have our own community garden out the back, we have an ongoing women's group that meets every Wednesday, so they'll be able to do their cooking there. At the moment, we have a program called The Biggest Loser, and it's about losing weight. So alongside of that, we will have the healthy cooking classes, which will assist people to be able to, do that as well. So it'll just work because we at the start we needed all the cooking utensils, all of that sort of thing, and the knowledge. So once that's passed on, we can just keep it going.
Yeah, indeed. So, look, I understand, from a program that was perhaps initially targeting a particular part of the community, that you now are looking at expanding that out to the wider community as well?
Yeah, well, it can be. And at the moment, because it was just around women, because of The Biggest Loser, the men are involved in that. So we're opening it up and making it a proper community event.
Yeah, fantastic. Look, David, applications are about to open. I think at the moment, if people go to the Southwest Community Foundation's website, there are some guidelines there, so you can sort of get a sense now as to whether or not this is something that is going to apply to you. But maybe, without going through all the criteria, obviously, and all of the various descriptors around that. I mean, just as a general guide, I guess, are there things that you say to people who might be thinking of applying? Maybe some things that might rule people out straight away, perhaps.
We just ask organisations just to check against that criteria there that we have as a base form. We try and keep it as open and flexible as possible so that as many innovative ideas and projects can be funded if they meet the criteria. But if they just check those early stages criteria, for example, we really don't support sports clubs unless there's something sort of non-sport. We feel they're pretty well supported through other programs, but as long as any organisation has a good idea, looks like it's going to have wide and long-term impacts, and they feel like they meet the organisational criteria, we'd encourage people to apply.
All right, yeah. And do you normally get a lot of applications that you then have to spend obviously quite a lot of time assessing and working your way through?
Yeah, absolutely. Every year we pretty much get 3 times the applications than we can fund. We're very also lucky that we also have a strategic partner in the Fletcher Jones Family Foundation who assess some of those grants as well and throw some money into the pot to help these projects get off the ground. Even though it is grant time and we encourage people to get prepared for the March of 1st when applications open, we're also, if anyone likes what they hear today, we'd also love for people to dip into their pocket and contribute a little bit of hard-earned as well for projects like this into the future.
Yeah, indeed. I mean, Wendy mentioned there, I guess, some of the difficulties, obviously, that have been associated with the circumstances we're in at the moment around COVID and how that might have impacted some of the ideas that people might have been applying for money for. Just with that in mind, I mean, David, do you expect that there's going to be a greater demand this year, perhaps? Have people perhaps been sitting on ideas that they haven't been able to do that you're expecting, are going to be now flooding in, perhaps?
Yeah, very much so. And we also have a little inkling so far is that a lot of people's thought processes over the last couple of years have changed as well about the pandemic, I think, has zeroed in people's minds of what's important to them and taken a bit of a breather from the hustle and bustle of life pre-pandemic to decide what really matters to them and get passionate about some things they've always sort of in the back of their mind they thought they might do one day, and one day is fast approaching. So they're starting to feel like it's time to get some of these good ideas off the ground. So we're really excited for the projects that are going to be put forward this year.
Yeah, fantastic. And this can be one of the ways to really sort of help those projects get a start as well. David, thanks very much for your time. I'm sure we'll talk again perhaps when you get to the next stage of the process to maybe announce some of the things that are going to be funded this year. Looking forward to seeing what does come forward. But thanks for your time this morning.
Oh, any time at all, Jeremy. Thanks for having me.
David McIntyre there, who is chair of the Southwest Community Foundation. So have a look at their website. Applications do open for the current round of funding for this year on the 1st of March. Wendy, thanks to you as well. And if people would like to know more about any of the programs that you're running, how do people get in touch with you?
Well, we're at the Werrong in Julia Street, and the number is 0355 217 535.
All right, fantastic, and it's a really good sounding programs that you've been able to fund as well through the foundation's trust. So we'll stay in touch with you as well. Thanks again for your time this morning.
Thank you very much.
Thanks again. That's Wendy Rotumahn there, who is the Well Women and their Children's Health Coordinator at DWECHS Elderly and Community Health Service, one of the organisations that have benefited from a grant from the Southwest Community Foundation.